I'm scared. It's time for Must Have Seen TV, the podcast dedicated to the sitcoms of the 20th century. From I Love Lucy to News Radio, I'm your TV guy, Brett White, who performs in drag as Barb Hardley when he is not super depressed and can actually put on a dress and makeup. I'm also a senior reporter producer for Decider.com. And say hello to the Bud Abbott to my Lou Costello, or vice versa, depending on your poison. Ethan K. Hello, Ethan.
Hello, Brett. I was going to do a Bud Abbott impression when you said that. Just that. Oh, I'm so glad to be here.
Or just punching me. just a lot of physical violence. How's it going?
It's going so well. Work is busy, but tomorrow we head out for Riot Fest in Chicago. Wow. 3-day concert in Chicago, visiting up with some friends, but also seeing 9 Inch Nails and My Chemical Romance and the original Misfits.
Jesus.
And Bad Religion and the Descendants and the Linda Lindas and a bunch of bands we want to see.
I saw Roxy Music. I'm wearing the shirt I bought on Monday night, which is, the case of whenever you see bands that are having their 50th anniversary tour, it's always like, man, they're gonna play mostly the songs that you don't know or care about, even though I love 5 Roxy Music albums. It's not like when I saw Television in concert for their their last concert, they have 2 albums and they perform mostly stuff from Adventure and not a lot from Marquee Moon. And it's like, guys, that is the album that people want to hear. So it was interesting. But they closed like at the end after a big middle stretch where it was just a lot of the dirges that I'm like, oh, I appreciate being in the presence of one of my favorite bands. At the end, they did Love is a Drug, Into Editions of You, Into Do the Strand, which killed me. So I'm a ghost now.
So I had a great time. That's become a new thing. Like bands that have been around for a while playing an entire album.
I would love to have seen, like, if they had done that for Country Life or Siren or any of those, I would have loved it. But they would have probably done Avalon, which, guys, Avalon is not the best Roxy Music album. This elevator music, jeez.
Well, the Misfits will be playing all of, I believe, Walk Among Us. I was like, oh, cool. Misfits are playing the entire Walk Among Us album. And then I listened to Walk Among Us and I'm like, it's 22 minutes.
They need to be doing 2 albums.
There's songs on there that are like 1:40.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
That's album. So I'm sure they're going to play Walk Among Us and then all of their additional hits, and they can probably do the entire thing in like an hour and a half.
Oh yeah.
Although they're the headliners, and I don't think they have more than like an hour and a half. Like 9 Inch Nails is going to play for like an hour, maybe plus.
Well, I guess at a festival when there's a bunch of acts, and it's like,
you got to clear out the park.
There's a lot of got to share a lot of time.
Yeah, that's what's going on.
Okay. Vamp while I let Gene out of my office.
So Chicago is such a great town. Haven't been there in a number of years, but I gotta say the food is always great. There's some great used bookstores. There's a great record store that we went to, but I haven't been there in a while. Just talking very excitedly about Chicago. Back. Such a great place. Hey, Brett.
And also, like, okay, so listeners of the video portion, this is usually where I would get up and strut around and show Ethan my like heels and cinched waist. But for the second week in a row, what happened?
You sound like Joe Besser.
Oh yeah. Stinky. Oh my god. I couldn't. It takes a lot of work to get into drag, and it's been. It has been a hell of a 2 weeks of just not being in the city and just just a lot is going on. So Barb's coming back. Barb just got a amazing new gown that I cannot wait to. I was really hoping I could talk about Abbott Costello wearing that insane gown, but
no one in this episode wears an insane gown. Everyone's gown is pretty
okay. Yeah. I was like, Hillary might be, but I honestly can't remember anything about her. So
she's very plain, because that was her character, and that's the character that not only she played in this, but I know we're jumping ahead, but she was one of many blonde starlets who was assigned to contracts with studios, And to get noticed more, she turned her Long Island accent into a British accent, which elevated her star and got her more roles.
And I guess before we so I'll say that we got a comment on the YouTube. The Paul Lind episode. Remember, you can comment on the YouTube. So Tedda R said, "Hey Barb, looking gorgeous." Thank you very much. I sincerely appreciate that. Check mark 100 emoji, thumbs up emoji, wink emoji. TY for the CH, which I think is thank you for the channel. Is that YouTube lingo that I'm just not aware of? Because we're new to YouTuber.
Yeah, I think that it's great we're on YouTube. And thank you for for not mentioning me. That's okay.
And then hope there's a lot more to come. There is a lot more to come. Well, Ethan, I think that you need to we'll get you in drag, and then they can tell you that you're looking gorgeous. Although I did call you gorgeous in the heart to heart episode. It's part of the
because I was feeling gorgeous then.
Well, here's Ethan. He's gorgeous. Oh, I love that.
But when we get together, when you come up to Westchester and we can work on it. We can pregame. Yes. I'll straight up do it in drag. Like I don't necessarily have to wait for a live show to do it. We can do it.
Yeah. We might need your wife's help on that, because I'm like, I mean, I now kind of know what I'm doing, but I don't know if I know well enough to do it to someone else.
She knows wigs and eyebrows, and she can do all, and she's proud of that, and I'm proud of her for being proud of that.
Yeah. So, and is there anything that you're watching right now?
Yeah. A couple days ago we started watching season 3 of Daredevil again.
Oh, I love it.
Season 3 is really good. I forgot everything that happened in season 3, and we have 2 episodes left for this season, but it is a really good, intense season.
I know. I went to D23 and I got to see a sneak preview of Daredevil's episode of She-Hulk, and it was the happiest I was at that entire convention. So get ready. It is really good and really, really funny, and still feels like the human train wreck Matt Murdock that he is, and I just love him. I love it. I gotta say, does he has to at this point have the most screen time of any character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? He might.
3 seasons of 13 episodes, plus the Defenders, plus the little bit on Spider-Man, plus the little bit
an episode of She-Hulk. I mean, I think like Iron Man might be the only well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it might be like Iron Man might be the only one that might come somewhat close, but probably not, honestly.
13 episodes season.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, that's the thing is, he's probably, now that he's been inducted into MCU. Well, and also Kingpin, Vincent D'Onofrio probably is up there as well. And and this will be going up after it debuts, so I can probably talk about the fact that I've seen the first bunch of episodes of Andor, and I really liked it. I had to watch it twice in order to take it all in, because it is one of the densest shows that I've seen. It is the first Star Wars Disney Plus show that actually does feel like a different genre. Like actually, like it does not feel like Star Wars. In basically, I think my review is going to be that it feels a lot more like Chernobyl.
But Brett, Star Wars is for kids. That's what George Lucas made it for.
Yeah, not this show, not this one. It is very dramatic and slow paced. There's not a lot of music. There are almost no laughs, and there's a lot of I really like it a lot. I just you can't really predict how fans are going to react to literally anything, because they will hate things that you think are great and love things that you think are garbage. So I like it. I don't know what you think.
So children must be accompanied by an adult to watch Andor on the television.
I mean, I think honestly, children are probably going to check out.
Yeah, makes sense.
I don't think they're going to watch.
That happens.
The first. No, I won't spoil anything.
Did kids like Solo?
Oh, but they should. That is a perfect kids movie. That is a romp. I love that.
But it was like bringing in so much continuity, and like who's Darth Maul?
Yeah. But I feel like there's a lot more like jokes and like fighting and zipping around, and I think did they like Rogue One, which is who knows, which I also
did a good amount of zipping around. I agree on that.
Well, speaking of zipping around, we're gonna zip to February 20th, 1953. Peter Pan rolled the box office.
Ooh, Bobby Driscoll, R.I.P.
Oh, Till I Waltz Again with You by Teresa Brewer topped the charts, and networks across the country aired the Abbott and Costello show episode The Haunted House. Ethan, you must have seen The Haunted House before today.
I have not, and it's a shame because there was a Kickstarter earlier this year for the first season on Blu-ray remastered with commentaries, and I got it, and I have kept it, and it just moved around the office as I was rearranging stuff, and this was the first time I was able to crack it open.
Wait, so what does it look like on Blu-ray? Is it beautiful?
Amazing.
Oh my God.
It is gorgeous.
I'm interested in that. Also, who's doing the commentaries? Because these guys are dead. I mean, these guys are like super dead. Like,
well, this
Costello died like what 6 years after this episode aired.
And that ruined the team up. It's they have film scholars and comedy scholars, and the voice behind this one was Paul Castiglia, who is a writer about horror movies. Gilbert Godfrey did a commentary.
Oh, R.I.P. the legend.
These shows are becoming such a downer.
Yeah, everyone's dead, man.
So I watched the episode and took notes, and then I watched the commentary. Ooh, and there's I'm gonna pull, I hope you don't mind that I'm gonna pull a couple nuggets from what you gave us, because it was a fantastic commentary on a beautifully remastered episode. And if you have the opportunity, season 2 is kickstarted literally yesterday.
Oh wow, well then they should sponsor us, RT, please. Yeah, because I just watched this on Tubi, where everyone can watch on Tubi for free, and there was only one commercial break, and we'll talk about what I saw.
It's also on YouTube.
Oh, okay, yeah,
episodes on YouTube.
Well, I mean, because I imagine if they were kickstarting a Blu-ray, the rights have got to be just like loosey-goosey, free for all.
Yeah, but they said they were using the original negatives.
Oh, that's great.
So they were able to find them, and
thank God they weren't just like thrown in the trash like almost everything was from this era. Like,
because these shows are treasures. They're funny. They're goofy. They have character. They have environment. I liked it.
Yeah, I feel like, well, yeah. So like my history with Abbott and Costello is I just know them as shorthand, honestly. Like Laurel and Hardy and Abbott and Costello. Like I just know that when you talk about comedy duos, you like starting this, I had to look up which one was Costello, because I was like, I actually have never. But so Hayden Rourke tie-in. In my research for the book, one of Hayden's dear friends was Arthur Lubin, a director, and Arthur Lubin directed Buck Privates, which is the movie that made Abbott and Costello a movie star. And then he also directed like the next 2 or 3 Abbott and Costello movies. And Arthur Lubin was a homosexual. I believe I actually talked about him on my go back and listen to the Must Have Pride episodes where I talked about the directors, because I think I did Arthur Lubin then. And he was one of Hayden's like dearest friends. They would go over to each other's house all the time. Arthur Lubin would always throw parties. Well into the 80s. Like, I don't actually, it might have been like late 70s. I don't know when Arthur Lubin died. Wow. But so I like to always point out that Abbott and Costello exist because of the work of a homosexual gentleman named Arthur Lubin in the 1940s. So tip of the cap.
Tip of the cap. A little bit of background on Abbott and Costello. They got their big break as voices on the Kate Smith Show, which is a radio show starting in 1940.
I was thinking Kate Bush, and I was like, oh, wow, really timely.
They're 1940, or 1939. They had very similar voices. So Lou Costello, kind of the short, squat one, developed this kind of this hyper character. And then they spun off into their own radio show from 1940 to 1949. Starting in 1940, they started doing movies. Buck Privates was their breakout.
Yeah.
And then they had a falling out in 1945 after after Lou Costello fired his housekeeper and Bud hired her. and that turned into a big thing. And also Lou's son passed away, unfortunately, which threw him into a deep depression. The two of them made up a few years later, by Bud suggesting that Lou's favorite charity be named after Lou's son, which kind of mended some fences. Then they went on to do Universal films. They did all the monster films.
Oh,
they
yeah.
did Costello Meet Frankenstein.
I need to watch those this year. That should do that. Yeah, that'll be my Halloween watch.
They're on
Peacock, probably. Or Shout Factory. Okay.
Shout Factory has the box set of all of them. I like Abbott and Costello, and I'm glad that the show came out, but I also have the movies. Also, all of them have most of them have commentaries. They're just great. And so this TV show, after the movies started kind of winding down a little bit, they got the TV show, which was a lot of their old radio business.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, you got 9 years of material that has never been reran. I say, like, don't waste any time making new shit.
Yeah, it's kind of like, and it's cool because, you know, back in the day, there was a lot of those short films back in, especially in the 1930s and early 40s.
Yeah.
And that lent itself, just extended a bit longer. You got 22 minutes, and that's an episode of TV. This is the kind of the natural progression from the earlier short films like The Three Stooges and Little Rascals and Keystone Cops. TV was that for a lot of these performers, Abbott and Costello included, that was the next step.
Wow, yeah, like I didn't even know they had a TV show until we decided to do this. But then I was like, oh, but two seasons syndicated. Was this? They had to go network to network selling this, which I mean, Abbott and Costello have a TV show. You're going to buy that. You're going to show that.
Oh, they were huge stars. Yeah. They were making, you know, what did I just? It was on Wikipedia. They're making like $730,000 a year in 1940s money. Like, big brain time.
Okay, that's a lot. So yeah, this week on Must Have Seen TV, we'll be talking about the Abbott and Costello episode, The Haunted House, aka The Haunted Castle, depending on where you look. It is the 12th episode of season 1, and it was written by Sid Fields and Eddie Foreman and directed by Gene Yarbrough. Here's how Tubi describes the episode. Hillary's inherited house is haunted. That is a tongue twister. Hillary's inherited house is haunted. Ethan, how accurate is that description?
It is.
I mean, yeah,
the house is haunted. The house is haunted.
Yeah, there is. Hey, if you're looking for plot, go to the next episode because we're here to talk about plot.
So it was written by Sid Fields. Sid Fields appears in the show. He is the lawyer, which we'll get to. Melonhead. He also is our series regular. He plays their landlord. The whole conceit of the show, despite being, today they have a chimp, and yet tomorrow they're going to a haunted house. The whole conceit was that they're out of work actors.
Oh.
Abbott is constantly prodding Lou to get a job. Hillary is the neighbor who's kind of also the love interest.
Of both of them, or
just Lou?
Okay, this is like progressive.
Yes, as far as I know, Abbott is sexless in these, but Costello's usually has some business with the ladies.
Oh yeah, I mean he's hot. Look at him.
Oh yeah,
Costello's my type. Let's just get that out of the way. He's also 5'5", so I have short man solidarity with him.
And Abbott is my type because he's a Freemason, or he was a Freemason. So he's my brother. I should be able to say brother Abbott.
Oh yeah.
He was in Daylight Lodge 525 in Michigan, which is no longer existing. It consolidated and then consolidated again.
Jeez. And so this episode is very 1950s television is just bizarre and wild, and that's why whenever we cycle around back to the 50s, it's always going to be like, buckle up, who knows what we're in for, because this is, I mean, it's presented to the audience as if it is a sketch, but Abbott and Costello on stage hosting their own episode of television, they're still the characters that are in the show.
It's a great
they're talking
concept,
about
right?
I'm scared of this haunted house that we're in, except they are on stage they've come out on stage to address the audience. It is very meta and weird, and it's the kind of thing, I guess, like in the early 50s, and they're like, well, we don't know what TV is, and also we don't know how people are going to watch TV. They may honestly think that these people can see them, so let's just make sure they acknowledge them politely. I don't know.
It has a very Mr. Show feel to it. where it's like, we're going to be these characters. Then the characters are going to come out and talk to the audience because Mr. Show is always, filmed with that audience. And then we're going to go back into the scene that we were just in.
Yeah. It is really strange.
And they play, and their characters have their own names.
Yes.
Hillary has her own name. So everyone's just calling each other Bud and Lou and Hillary.
Did yours have opening credits? Because on Tubi they have opening credits, but it has a copyright date of 1978, which makes me think that they were probably added. Well, they obviously were added, I guess, for whatever syndication package was in the late 70s.
You might have had different credits than I did too.
It's like stained glass. It's like kind of like a Trivial Pursuit pie, and it's like all different scenes, and it's like wiping around.
Yeah, that's the one that I got to. So maybe that is the original, but they just wrote it.
Yeah, that might make sense. I'll have to investigate why I said that.
A mystery.
The first scene of this, so we get the host into the audience, and then we're gonna have to spend, I think, at least 40 minutes trying to unpack what the hell the first. I couldn't tell if it was 1 minute or 90 minutes, whatever that was.
And it's all because of one wonderful weird man.
What is
Joe fucking Besser?
What is going on? He plays it. When you said you were like, I want to watch one where Joe Besser plays Stinky, and you also said independently, known for playing children, old man known for playing children. I did not ever put together that Stinky was a child until he shows up here dressed like Angus Young from AC/DC, and then it's just a full-on man-child.
Yeah, if you go to his IMDb biography, it literally says Joe Besser's trademark is his ability to play young children, although he was a middle-aged man.
And I feel like, I don't know if it's ability makes it sound like he does it convincingly.
Which he does not.
No
one is fooled. He's the same height as Lou Costello.
If not tall. So this is not Stinky's debut. Stinky is a recurring character.
Stinky's a recurring character in season 1.
Okay, because the way it is set up is Abbott and Costello are walking, I think, to the lawyer's office, where we find out they're walking there to be with their friend while she gets an adherence, blah, blah, blah. And Stinky just is playing football on the, New York City sidewalk, where are like just on the sidewalk playing football alone. And then Bud Abbott just like bullies Lou Costello into playing football with a child, even though he doesn't want to.
Yeah, they have places to go, and he's like, "No, you gotta play some ball with him." And they starts hitting him, and Stinky starts hitting him. Say, "Yeah, you gotta play with me. You gotta play with me." Stinky is the most annoying character. Like, imagine.
I mean, he makes Kimmy Gibbler look like, I don't know, Bob Newhart or something. Like,
imagine like Richard Kind, but sped up like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yeah, wearing whatever that, like, when did kids dress like that?
Like the 1920s, 1930s, the Little Lord Fauntleroy.
Yeah.
Short pants with hairy legs.
Yeah, and socks pulled up, and the weird, like, was he wearing the weird Amish looking hat or whatever?
Yeah, well, no, because he was wearing a football helmet.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, and there's also just, they keep telling Costello, bend over. Because
they're playing football.
Yeah,
he wants them to hike the ball.
It's just funny that they're just telling them, bend over, and that's it. And then my notes say just nonstop slapping.
So let me give you a little color on Joe Besser. Joe Besser was a vaudeville comedian in the 1930s. He got into television. He did theatrical stuff. He did some with my boys, Olsen and Johnson. He was part of their theater troupe for a while. He gets pulled away to start doing some theatricals. He's does a couple theatricals. Has a pretty good career. Actually does a pilot for a show based virtually on this concept called The Private Eyes in 1950.
Wait, where he's a child?
He plays a child,
Jesus.
But he also plays himself as a very large middle-aged man. Everyone remembers him as one of the Three Stooges. After Shemp died, Joe Besser came on as Joe.
That must have been very short, right?
It lasted about 3 years.
Wait, so the original three were Larry, Moe, and Curly? No.
Larry, Moe, and Shemp.
Larry, Moe, and Shemp.
And then Shemp went to do pictures. Also, He was in Hell's a Poppin' with Olsen and Johnson. I'm pointing to a picture above my head. He went off to do a bunch of pictures. He was a supporting player. He was a lead player. Curly has a stroke. Shemp comes back to the team, does a whole string of shorts, and then he dies at age 60 on the way back from, I believe, a boxing match. The Stooges were, what are we going to do? How are we going to do this?
Let's get this man baby in here.
Yeah,
bring
that's pretty
in
much
the man baby.
He was under contract with Columbia Pictures. They said, you're getting Joe Besser. Joe Besser, at the beginning, he didn't want to get hit at all. So he was kind of
sorry,
like,
man.
He's like, Larry Fine was kind of getting all the abuse. It was going well. Then they stopped doing the shorts, and they said, we're going to do a live tour. Besser says, my wife is sick. I can't leave my wife. I'd love to do it. You guys are great. You guys are a lot of fun, but I can't join the tour. So he leaves the group, and Curly Joe Dorita comes in. And then they did the live shows, and Dorita did most of the long form Three Stooges movies, like Three Stooges meet Snow White and the Three Stooges.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So
man, I didn't know
a little bit of background.
I didn't know Three Stooges had like a deep bench. I didn't know there were that many Stooges. I thought there were four.
There were several Stooges, and it's so sad because Joe Besser's autobiography was called More Than a Stooge.
Oh.
And then when they re-released it after his death, they titled it Once a Stooge, Always a Stooge.
That is shady.
It's so shady.
God, man. He specifically said, I am more than a stooge.
He had a long career, and by the end of it, he was doing animation. And that was, but now here he's just a whiny man child going, bend over.
It is. I did like, so when Lou Costello does, he does a really good like fall down, like kick and fall down physical comedy bit that I thought was funny. I did also write, where are the ghosts? And like after a while, I was like, give me some fucking ghosts. We've been at this too long.
So they get to the lawyer's office, and the lawyer's there, played by Sid Fields, and Hillary's there, played by Hillary Brooke.
Oh, who is the secretary?
That was Joan Shawley. You might remember her if going back to Bosom Buddies. She was in Some Like It Hot and The Apartment. So Wilder's Eye.
So like they're there, and Hillary's like waiting for her two witnesses to show up because there must be two witnesses present at the reading of the will for this specific reason. And then you hear like this crazy ass scream from off stage. She's like, that must be the boys now. And then I did like, they come into the office by like Lou is doing like a headstand flip into the office, and then the secretary comes in and is like, oh, I thought you said throw him in, not show him in. And I like her. She's good. Give her a show. She's
great. She's the exact opposite of Hillary. She's peppy. She's got some cute retorts. She's got some one-liners. She's great.
They give her some jokes. She actually has jokes. And like, let's be honest, if 1953 they're giving a woman jokes, I'm like, oh my God, this is progressive, because Lucille Ball was the only one getting the jokes as far as any of the 50s sitcoms we've seen. So
she had that kind of she was a very tall redhead, sometimes blonde, sometimes redhead. She could play comedy and she could play a drama. So she was very, all over the place. I really liked her.
We like her.
So if you haven't seen Abbott and Costello in anything, Bud Abbott is the straight man. He's He's always kind of
pencil thin, like John Waters mustache, kind of.
Yeah, kind of like always in suits. Lou Costello is portly. He usually wears a bowler hat.
Yeah, long tie. Or like more like his trousers are pulled up and the tie's a little bit longer. But I mean, it's a good look. I would.
But the personality is Bud Abbott's the straight man. He's like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, and Lou Costello's like, well, I don't know. It's kind of standard. That kind of stuff.
Fun, like watching all these shows and like, oh man, they all have a Ben Grimm in them. Like Ben Grimm is this just like amorphous amalgamation or whatever of what William Bendix which is on at the same time as this, I discovered. Same night actually too, Fridays.
And it has the same director, because Gene Yarborough directed 13 episodes of Life of Riley.
There you go.
Gene Yarborough, like real quick, such a prolific director. He directed 8 films in 1942,
Jesus.
8 films in 1949, and 8 films in 1950.
They just bang them out.
That's what they did.
Movies back then were like 65 minutes, 3 sets, go have fun. Like, yeah, done. That's why I love those Universal monster movies, because most of them are just like barely an hour, and it's like, this is an episode of a Netflix show, and I love this.
This one had just 3, I would say 4 locations, if you include the
street, the office, and like 2 haunted house. Oh, and also the auditorium, the stage 5.
Oh yeah, where everything was.
Why is his name Mr. Melonhead? And that had to have been a joke at some point, right? It's just he's Mr. Melonhead. Yeah. I love
Mr. Melonhead. Is just, my name's Mr. Melonhead. Yeah, I'm a lawyer of the old school. And his jokes were not as good as anybody else's. He's like, oh, where am I? He's wearing glasses. He's like, oh, where are my glasses? He pulls out other glasses.
Puts on glasses over the glasses, blah, blah, blah. I did like, so he did, so when he reads the will, he does say like, Hillary Brooks, like grandfather Montague Brooke, bequeaths Goblin's Knob Castle.
That had a couple laughs from the audience, and I don't know why.
Well, I just like Goblin's Knob is a good name.
Goblin's Knob.
I like that name.
That's a little R-rated, but okay.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's up there. But it's kind of also reminded me of like Hobbs End, Mouth of Madness, etc. But of course, the conceit is, if you want the castle, you gotta spend the night in it. Obviously,
it's a classic trope. Even at this time, even in 1953, it was kind of like classic. This had been done
isn't
before.
That also like House on Haunted Hill? Like they have to survive the night in order to win money. It's always a thing. And so I did write in my notes, I wish someone would leave me a castle with that stipulation, because it just sounds like fun. I would love that.
I would get my friends and we'd all hang around in like the foyer and not explore anything, and like be all together so nothing can get us. And like we just like stay up all night. We don't go to sleep. We stay up all night.
I remember I did, but didn't I drunkenly try to get you to go to like a notoriously haunted hotel upstate?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, let's go. This looks great.
I don't like ghosts. I do not like ghosts.
I would love, what I also love is, okay, so first of all, it's like, if you don't, then Melonhead gets the castle. Okay.
Yeah, sure. We're sewing up the plot hole with like a very, very, very loose thread.
And then also, I like that Hillary's like, that place has been haunted for 20 years. So weird. A weird 20 years? Like that seems like nouveau riche ghosts.
And it feels also like when you say 20 years, that makes me think that it's not a real ghost. It's like con men screwing around. Like was it Hillbillies in a Haunted House, or like
which is the Andy Griffith Show episode, Haunted House, is like there's a homeless person in there.
Yeah.
It is weird to also like to know, like, I don't like, it was written in the newspaper 20 years ago. Extra, Goblin's Knob Castle now haunted. Ghost moves in.
What day is it? Oh, the ghost came in yesterday.
Well, February 20th, 1933, the ghost moved in. Like,
and the house they show is not 20 years dilapidated. It's stock whatever.
Yeah, it's just it looks nicer than, it's on par with like Munster's Adams, but newer, like not rickety.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't set dress those houses to look bad, which is what I'm assuming they did.
So, and it's not a castle by any stretch. It's not a castle. It's a house.
No. So Costello is like naturally scared. He tries to get out of it by saying like, oh, this kid's brave. See you later. Then he falls down because how dare you not want to go sleep with the goat? Have I told you about the night that I spent at a haunted Air Force base that was built on a Native American burial ground, right?
Why did you stay at an Air Force base?
So, this is the summer after high school. So like before my freshman year of college, one of our friends from my high school group of friends, dad, was in the Army and was in the Army in Smyrna, Tennessee. And there was an Army base off of like out in Smyrna that was, the rumor of like, it was buried on a burial ground of some sort. And so it was haunted.
Probably was.
Yeah. So me and my friends all like, we're like, well, we are definitely going to go spend the night there, because our dad was like, yeah, sure. So we all went and spent the night there. Also going on that night in the Army base after dark was a very racist wrestling match. It was like local wrestling, and the two people wrestling, I will not say what, but you can use your imaginations. And it was like, yep, this is the scary place we're in. That was the scariest thing of the night. But so after we played my Family Feud board game to get us to midnight, then we started walking around and doing like, it's cold over here. Oh, it isn't. And then all of a sudden, quarters started being thrown like down the hallway and back and like up and down. We're all freaking out and walking around. And so it was like, oh my God, what a night. And then a couple like weeks later, I go back again with other friends. Nothing happens. And then a month later, I found out that my friend Chris was just chucking quarters at us. And because it was pitch black, like it was dark, like we could not see anything, but we could hear. And so he was just having fun with us. And he was like, yeah, I found it hilarious that y'all went back a second time.
I'm finding it hilarious that the U.S. Army is like, yeah, kids, come on over, stay the night.
Yeah,
and then,
yeah.
Then come back another night just to.
No, yeah, we were sleeping on the like tile floor. Like we might have had blankets. I don't know, but it was
Was this U.S. Army base? Was it also a hostel?
Yeah. Well, it was also a wrestling
renting it out.
There was a gym you could wrestle because I think we went down there to get nachos and we were like, oh my God, this is some hillbilly trash wrestling going on.
Yeah, hillbilly trash wrestling.
Yeah, not good. But that totally is why I would jump at the chance if they were like, go spend the night in a haunted castle. And I'd be like, yes.
I mean, you can find haunted hotels all over the place. I don't want to stay at a haunted hotel. I stayed at a haunted hotel once.
What if I book it and you go and then I tell you when we get there?
Oh, no. I do my research before I go to any hotel. I look it up. Trust me on this. I if I'm booking rooms through like a work thing, because I have to book for like the Amex site, I will put no smoking room, not haunted. I do. And if I'm staying at a place, I do not stay at like bed and breakfasts. I don't stay at like old hotels. I will stay at like Westins and Marriott's. And
I mean, you don't want to stay at those anyway because they're just not. I need amenities. No, like the Marriott that I stayed at on the Anaheim Marriott was great, way better than the Hilton. If you're staying at Convention Way near the convention center, stay at the Hilton Marriott, the Anaheim Marriott, not the Anaheim Hilton. The Anaheim Hilton is a joke. The Anaheim Hilton charged me to hold my bags. Marriott's like, of course we're gonna let you check your bags while you go to the convention. Jeez.
Anyway, so they get.
You didn't get commercials. I got commercials.
Oh, I didn't get commercials.
No, So Tubi showed me Febreze Air, Domino's Pizza.
Okay.
Aflac, obviously.
Okay.
ABC Mouse. No, thank you. I don't have children.
Oh, I know that. I know ABC Mouse.
And Pizza Hut, the Detroit style pizza, which I'm like, yes, I would like to have again. And so I will note Domino's and Pizza Hut in one ad break. Tubi knows me.
The Pizza Wars.
Tubi knows me. I would love to have some that right now. So now we're at the mansion / castle, and I'm super excited. And then I will say the interior was a bit of a letdown.
It was a beautiful way of framing a shot in a way that you don't need a set.
Yeah, there was a giant skull that was clearly a human skull. They were joking was a brontosaurus skull in the foreground that was covered in cobwebs.
When they said it was so big, and they were able to do that by putting it close to the screen.
Yeah, it was like, that was weird because I was like, as a viewer, I'm like, that is clearly a skull that's close to a camera and not a big skull. But then they were acting like it was a big skull, and I don't know.
And so that's taking up like a fourth of the screen, and behind them is a door, and that is literally the set.
And then there's a statue suit of armor off to the side, but you can barely see it because I think most of the time either Abbott or Costello are covering it
up. So they do the all the gags. The front door was open. And then there's a breeze coming through.
Zephyr on the breeze. Which that's Costello mishears as get the heifers out of the trees.
The wordplay is not great. But the way he sold it was great.
Well, so let's talk about this. There was a script because the entire show feels improvised, and that's not a bad thing, but it just is so loose and like it's very fast and very loose and very like everyone's talking over each other kinda, and yeah, it's a very interesting tone.
And that's what I think I like about Abbott and Costello is their conversations feel very natural.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of dialogue in this. It's full on dialogue. And you know that they had jokes they had to hit, but getting around them, they're hitting those jokes fast. They're getting in there fast. Even Hillary's getting in there fast.
Yeah.
They're talking over each other. They're giving Costello enough time to add flavor to it. He's like, oh, I don't know about that. Like that, like it works with the character because he's scared all the time. That's the whole point about that.
Yeah, because Hillary is telling the story about her grandfather who was a miser, which does not mean that he works with mice in the circus.
That was I like that gag. That was a good gag.
He counts gold, and then there's like huge like clonk clonk clonk, and for some reason Costello is the only one who can hear or see anything.
Clonk clonk clonk. He counted the gold. Clonk.
Footsteps. Nah.
So he said so the next thing that happens is he points it out and he said and they say, oh no, it's just these echoes. It's an old house that has echoes. So Hillary goes, hello. And the echo goes, hello. And then Abbott goes, hello. And the echo goes, hello. And then Costello goes, Merry Christmas. And the echo says, Happy New Year, which I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, that's fun. I also, the story that Hillary was telling about her grandfather, which it was like a ghost knocked, grandpa wouldn't let the ghost in, which Costello was very happy about. But then the ghost comes in and stabs her grandfather in the heart anyway. It was one of those things of like, if you're actually listening to what she's saying, it's like, what are you saying?
I mean, it's not Samuel Beckett. It's not the best script in the world.
No, it is. It's just funny because like you're distracted because it's all interjected with Costello doing business. And so you kind of lose track of what Hillary's actually, the words that she's saying. But if you just like try to piece together the story she's telling, it's like, this story is weird.
And then when she tells the story, Costello has like a great line where he goes, he gets excited, goes, I'm leaving through that door. And Bud goes, there's no door. He goes, I'll make one. You see a pair of gray pants run by, don't grab them because I'll be in them. And I'm like, oh, that's going a long way, but I liked it.
Yeah. Oh, and then there was also after the echo bit, they hype by doing clapping, to which like Costello like goes to clap, but then like doesn't, and then there's still a clap noise and he freaks out. Like,
it's good gags.
Yeah.
It's fun gags. Believe it or not, the show has a halftime.
Yeah, they go back out to the audience, and this is where on stage to the presumably studio audience. I actually don't know if this was recorded in front of a live audience or not.
I felt like it was because there were not a lot of sets.
Yeah, it'd be weird to not. But it's like them addressing the audience, but they're still the characters because they're like, don't make me go back to that haunted castle. Like it's TV. I tell you, TV was wild before they figured out what it was.
It was fun. I think you have like standard gags, and then they leave this show and talk to the audience, and they just go back into it.
Now they're going to investigate cabinets, and then what I love, and this is Hillary's like, do either of you boys have a gun? And she's asking like if they have gum or something. It's just, do you have a gun? Costello has a toy one. Abbott is just, Abbott's carrying. He's got concealed carry. He's strapped. So he goes out. And now I just want to now just underscore this through the rest of the episode. Costello just is firing his gun at all times at everything, even
the pop gun, the cap gun.
Okay, because I thought they were making it.
No,
I thought that he was given the real gun at some point because he's just shooting at everything.
Hillary got the real gun. Costello still has his little cap pistol. Pop, pop,
yeah,
pop, pop, pop.
Because he keeps popping it at everything, including at Abbott at some points.
Yep.
Yeah. Which I just thought that was so in the cabinet as they walk away, a hairy arm reaches out to Costello, but doesn't feel him, doesn't see him.
So the gorilla in a haunted house has been used a million times.
Okay, so is there, because I was like, nowadays you ask me name 500 things in a haunted house, a gorilla is not gonna be one of them.
It was a standard thing because in 1939 the Ritz brothers did a haunted house movie called The Gorilla, and that it kind of put a gorilla in a haunted house.
What?
And that became, that was the conceit of the film.
It's so weird.
But then it's just more and more things just kind of borrowed, that a gorilla in a haunted house just became a thing.
And it stopped being a thing at some point, maybe because I don't think I've ever seen it before. It honestly felt like this would be a monster, but all we have access to is a gorilla costume, is like what I was thinking in a way, because it is, I think the ghosts are quiet and spooky and sneak up, and I do not categorize gorillas as quiet or sneaky.
They smash things, they throw things, they get angry. But there is a ghost.
Yes, yeah, at this point.
This probably played by Joan Shawley again, because it was very tall.
Wearing
Joan Shawley was very tall.
Wearing a shawl over a gown. I'm a spook. I'm supposed to scare you.
So she is scary, and she's only on screen for like less than a minute.
Like she comes seconds,
over. He comes over. I'm a spook. I'm supposed to scare you. And Costello's like, oh, but she is obviously tall and gorgeous. And then they go in front of the clock.
Yeah.
There's more to this gag than there actually is. And I got to tell you why. So she says, hey, do you have the time? And he looks at the clock, and the grandfather clock, the top pops down and a head sticks out and says 5 minutes to 12.
Yeah.
And it closes back up and he goes, 5 minutes to 12. I don't know why it was done this way, but the man in the grandfather clock was an actor named Bobby Barber. Bobby Barber got to know Abbott and Costello, I think on Buck Privates. It might have been Hold That Ghost, but he was just an extra, and they realized this guy's fucking hilarious.
Oh wow.
They hired him for all their movies and all their TV shows just to goof around backstage to keep everybody having a good time.
So he's kind of like the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones dancing guy.
Yes, exactly.
Like, you just want to hang out with him.
They just wanted to hang out with him. He was in all their movies in just various little tiny roles, but behind the camera, he was like the party meister, like
wow,
having a great time. So he's in a ton of these episodes in these little tiny bit parts, but behind the camera, he was just like the third member of the trio.
Well, so after that bit he has one line, and then that doesn't even really spook Costello out, because he goes and tells them what time it is. And now they're studying maps, and
they go to a second location in the house, which is a large flat panel with a couple like sconces attached to it. And that's it. And there's like a
table with chairs in the foreground.
If you could not believe that this was a set on a stage, then you are a fool in the 1950s, because this thing was like community theater backdrop.
High school theater.
High school theater backdrop.
So they're studying maps, and she's studying a map of the house, and Costello's like, I'm studying a map to get out of here.
Yes.
And Abbott is like, I'm gonna go. Then there was a very, very, very long sequence of Abbott is walking away, but Costello wants to make sure that he can run right back like as soon as possible, in between the time it takes him to say hey and Abbott. And they go back and forth with that a while.
Yeah, it's just the hey Abbott, and then he rushes back. He's like, oh, but it took you so long. And then he walks away and he goes, hey Abbott. And then he comes back and he's like, I want you to come back faster. Come back between the hey and the Abbott. Because he's afraid. He's afraid. That's his character. He's afraid all the time.
And then the next game is like, while they aren't looking, while she's investigating the map, there are two candles on the table, and one of them starts going left to right, and then that heightens, and then it comes down, and then the other one goes up and down, which I was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, good. The special effect of the candles, I was trying to see the wires and I couldn't see.
In the Blu-ray.
In the Blu-ray?
You can see the wires in the up and down one.
Oh man.
So he also shoots that with the cap gun.
Yeah, that's where I was like, he's just popping everything. It's just like pop, 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 pop. Well, and then also he tells her to keep an eye on like the left candle, but then the right candle starts moving, and then she's like, "Well, you told me to keep an eye on the candle." It's like, don't believe me, I'm such a liar.
She has no peripheral vision. I think she should get that checked out.
Yeah, she really should.
Because that's an issue.
And then after all that, we now get into there's a wall turning bit, which I feel like if you've seen Scooby-Doo, you know what's up. This is very Scooby-Doo gets it from all this.
Who's behind the wall? The gorilla.
The gorilla. And so there's like a thing of like like Abbott leads Costello leads Abbott through, and then comes out holding hands with the gorilla. Then they go back in, and then it comes out with like Abbott is now leading Costello. And the thing that Costello noticed was, wait, wasn't I leading you last time? It's like you didn't notice the trip around with the gorilla.
It's classic old dark house horror movie, just kind of a spoof on it.
Yeah,
it's very pleasant. It's very fun. You got a guy in a gorilla suit.
Gotta love that. I tell you, if you're on a sketch team and one of your members owns a gorilla suit, you're set. I can speak from experience. Shout out to Chris Wilkes, who always brought the gorilla suit.
The character, the actor who played the gorilla was George Barrows, who also played the gorilla in Hillbillies in a Haunted House. He played Herbie the gorilla in Beverly Hillbillies. He played Monstro.
Yeah, this was his thing.
He played Monstro the gorilla in Ghost in the Invisible Bikini. He played a gorilla in the Lucy Show. Yeah, he was all over that.
He found a niche and he's like, I'm writing this out.
And then he was one of Catwoman's goons in the Batman TV show.
Oh, good. Yeah, and so then like the gorilla like bops them both on the heads. Like, yeah, they eventually
they find the gold.
Sorry, my pop filter just fell.
They find the gold in a big bag, which is probably potatoes.
Yeah.
It looks like potatoes. It's carried like potatoes.
Potatoes, it's what's for dinner. Potatoes can be golden sometimes. I like a good potato.
Golden delicious.
The episode ends with, so Hillary sees the gorilla, gets freaked out, then Abbott sees it, gets freaked out, and then Costello's the third person to see it. And it's a lot like he does the evolution, like it's a take of laughing that it then slowly devolves into crying, etc.
And that's the end of the show. And well, there's
they go to the audience, and then it's like, I scared that monkey. I didn't know you had it in you. I'm glad it's out. And then Abbott's like, Costello, you should get a job doing that. And I'm like, wait, scaring monkeys? Is that a job? And then it's like, no, haunt a house is the job. And then there's no answer. And then that's it.
It goes back to the running gag of the show where neither of them have jobs, but Abbott keeps pushing Costello to get jobs. It's kind of a running gag. That's about the best I can say.
Can I find on YouTube an Abbott and Costello mashup to Offspring's "Why Don't You Get a Job"? just those scenes to that song,
or just all the Stinky scenes, all the Joe Besser Stinky scenes. I wanted to see it because I heard about him being Stinky and I knew about him from Olsen and Johnson, but
I'll tell you, that performance was stinky. No,
he is not the must-see performance of this show by any stretch of the imagination.
Jesus Christ. Are you ready for the must-have facts for this one?
Hells yeah.
Oh man, we're going to dive into the 1950s. So I don't know the ratings because this was syndicated, and so therefore, who knows? But for this TV season, the top 5 shows were number 5, the Texaco Star Theater, number 4, Dragnet, and then number 3, the Arthur Godfrey Vice Grip on the ratings. Number 3, Arthur Godfrey and his friends. And number 2, Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts. Go Godfrey heads! I still have not looked up who Arthur Godfrey is, and I'm not going to. I want it to be just. But for someone that was apparently the only game in town for a lot of the 50s, where's he gone? Where is he? Where is he now, huh?
I believe he's dead, but you know what? Anything's possible. We live in the future.
I mean, the Queen just died. The Queen was, 27 at this time? 36? Yes! Oh my God, that's crazy. Wait, no. 20, so 36, 46, almost 30.
Have you paid attention to any of the bizarre things that Britain is cracking down on so to force people to mourn?
Oh my God, no.
The Nintendo Direct stream was today. And Nintendo explains all their cool things that they're doing for the next year. They refused to air it. Instead, they said you have to go watch it on YouTube because we are not broadcasting this because we are supposed to be in a time of mourning. Television is out.
That's
it's
insane.
All mourning all the time. I saw a sign on a condom machine being condoms will not be dispensed in honor of mourning of the Queen.
I will say, so at Roxy Music, inexplicably, they just did like a jam, like, session for like 3 minutes, and then just a big picture of the Queen came up behind them. And it was like, listen, we're Americans, we don't understand this reverence. And I mean, honestly, I think a lot of English people our age also don't care.
You gotta be pretty like confident in your material to be on Madison Square Garden stage and be like, we're just gonna jam for 3 minutes
just to the Queen, for the Queen.
The Queen.
Well, I also think it was a break for Roxy Music because I think it was all of the like ancillary members were, because like the percussionist and the keyboardist and the other guitarist, so the main four could go. They're 70, like give them, they got to take a break.
I remember I saw Foreigner once, and the lead singer just sat down on the side of the stage and just wiped his head with a towel. Like when anytime there was a guitar solo, he'd be like, later.
Yeah. And then of course the number one show of this season was I Love Lucy, obviously. Which comparing anything to I Love Lucy so thoroughly invented how we perceive comedy on television, like period. It is so wild. It makes every other comedy of the 50s seem alien, because I Love Lucy, like, just it is on film, 3 cameras, nice sets, smart writing, and like just predicaments, and also like real life stuff like pregnancy and what, like, it was just so smart and ahead of its time. And so you watch this, or you watch Life with Riley, or Make Room for Daddy, or it's just like, what is this?
It doesn't hold up. It's a different kind of comedy. This is short film comedy. This was let's get bizarre.
It's very much like, we got a half hour to fill, so let's just do some goof arounds.
Yeah, everyone knows haunted house shows, like movies. We got haunted house shows going back 20 years. So we're going to be doing a haunted house show, and Abbott and Costello there. They're going to do a bunch of bits, kind of recycle a bunch from like Hold That Ghost.
Well, and we're out, 5 hours tops. Like,
yeah,
that's the entire production of this episode, probably. Oh, honestly, probably. I don't know. So on CBS, since this was syndicated, this aired on CBS on Friday nights in New York City. So the CBS Friday night New York City lineup was Mama, followed by My Friend Irma, followed by the Schlitz Playhouse of the Stars episode, The Devil's Other Name, and then Our Miss Brooks, Mr. and Mrs. North, and then at 10:30, the Abbott and Costello show, right before the 11 o'clock news.
I'm looking up Mama real quick just to be like, what was Mama? Because
Mama was I looked it up. It was a dramedy that was based on a radio show that ran for a long time, or the show ran for a long time. I can't remember.
Was this the one that Dick Van Patten was in?
Oh, I don't know.
Now I'm looking it up. I'm looking at it.
1950s TV show. It is not Mama's Fan. 1949 to 1957, 8 seasons.
Yeah,
yes.
That
weekly
was
CBS television comedy drama. Oh yeah, Dick Van Patten. We talked about that already, because he was in. Wait, what was he on that we talked about?
He was in the Paul
Lynn show, right? Yeah. Wow.
He was the pornography theater.
So yeah, that is crazy that it was also that it debuted in 1949 and ran for 8 seasons, and it does not look fun at all. I don't know.
Now we've been doing like 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Are we gonna have to like for 1940s?
I think we're gonna roll the 40s into the 50s. I'm definitely not. Because honestly, it's a struggle to get me to watch 50s sitcoms, although I do. They are wild. So what is My Friend Irma? I'm gonna look that up. Again, this is things that I could do beforehand, but why not? My Friend Irma is a media franchise that was spawned by a top-rated, long-running radio situation comedy. The television, films and television. The TV version ran on CBS from 52 to 54, only 2 seasons, 39 episodes. I don't recognize any of the
but the movie was also they did a movie version of it, and that was kind of like the big launch for Martin and Lewis.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
wild. Yeah. So yeah, there's like a lot of weird stuff on. So now so it is Friday night, it is 10:30, you're in New York City. What are you watching? So On ABC, there is something called Black Spider, which
which is a Batman villain, which is a very cool Batman villain who has died several times.
I've seen that. I don't know what that is. It doesn't.
Black Spider
on NBC. There's boxing. On CBS is the Abbott and Costello show, and on the Dumont network.
Oh yeah.
Down You Go, which Down You Go is an American television game show, Emmy Award nominated series, ran from 51 to 56, hosted by Bergen Evans. I'm trying to. Oh, it aired on all 4 networks over the course of its. So the gameplay was similar to Hangman.
Oh,
yeah, they'll do anything on TV.
I mean, isn't that what Wordle is?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Same thing.
So yeah, what do you want? Did you find out what Black Spider was?
I'm looking it up, and I'm definitely not finding anything that's a TV show. There's a lot.
Maybe it was a.
There's a million like animated series that are just like Black Widow and Spider-Man doing this thing, and
yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was like that night on CBS in New York City. They just put a camera on a Black Spider and showed it for a half hour. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know.
Isn't TV interesting? Look what we can do.
We can show you a black and white TV, perfect for this Black Spider. It was really a brown spider, but no one could tell. I mean, out of all that stuff, I'm probably watching Abbott and Costello.
I think so too. They were pretty big stars. Their star had not fallen yet.
No, like, yeah, this is early season 1, so
yeah. And I don't know why it ended. It only lasted 50 episodes. I would have watched this. They were, a very tried and true, reliable movie act. Probably heard them on the radio, like maybe a couple years ago. I'd watch Abbott and Costello. I watch Abbott and Costello now. I bought the.
You are watching it now. I definitely would not watch boxing. That's for sure, honeys. Unless it was on at the gay bar that I was sneaking into and hoping wasn't going to get raided that night, and then my name would end up in the paper the next day as a suspected homosexual. 50s were fun.
50s were not fun for most people.
No,
there was a lot of everything going on.
Although maybe I could probably get along. I could probably make it work. No, who knows?
I'm different.
I'm different. I could thrive in the 50s. No, honestly, the thing that would make me the cigarette smoke everywhere, honestly, more so than the homophobia and the fact that I'll probably have to marry a woman and be in a loveless marriage and have affairs with men on the side. The cigarette smoke everywhere would get me more. That would be awful. The fact that I would probably also be smoking because it's just what you did, and then I would probably just be like a weird, phlegmy, like coughing mess and not understand why I was so bad.
Would you be like a big cigar chomping 50s smoker, or like a cigarette 50s smoker?
If my predilections went on the same trajectory, I would probably be doing cigars, because the more I fully in love being a homosexual who loves very masculine, traditionally masculine things.
Yeah.
I'm a drag queen and a menswear gay, so it's all ends of the spectrum.
It's cigars.
Yeah,
it's cigars.
So 53 users on IMDb gave this an 8 out of 10. What would you give it?
I would give
it higher or lower?
I would give it maybe a little lower. Just the fact that there were not many sets there. Everything was kind of like the second half of the show, probably the last 2/3 of the show, all takes place in 2 rooms.
Yeah. I mean, I would probably go high 6s, maybe 6.5. Because again, when you're comparing it to all of television, I'm like, man.
Oh, of all of television.
It was like, I like plots.
This does not stand up against Westworld. It is
I mean, hey, honestly, Full House. Let's talk about the comedic genius, the tight, dense plotting of a great peak Full House there.
You have 2 locations, a kitchen and a living room. Maybe you have a 3rd location.
Well, you go downstairs and see either Joey's apartment or the recording studio or the garage in early seasons. Let's talk about just the Full House house layout, because I can do that room by room. And I literally have at work. I once did a visual guide to where everyone has lived in the Full House house, episode by episode. Anyway, I have problems. Who had the must-see performance of this episode?
Lou Costello.
Yeah. Well, I think you know what. So yeah, I'll give it to the secretary, the girl Friday. I'll shout out her out too, because so we can cover all the bases. Because I also loved Lou.
Lou, I think Lou, you fall in love with Lou.
Mm-hmm.
Lou he's sympathetic. He's excitable. He's got great jokes. But
does Abbott ever get jokes?
You know, he didn't really get, occasionally he would get some jokes. There was a movie that they did together, which I think was called Abbott and Costello Meet Captain Kidd, where Bud Abbott did get more of like a bulk of the jokes.
Okay,
like he was doing more of the pratfalls that Lou would do. He was doing more of the slapstick.
So that was nothing in this.
Yeah, it is kind of a downer.
Yeah, it's like, oh wow, man, like he's just yelling at this guy, and I mean, him and Hillary have the exact same amount of like screen time, importance, presence. Like they're more of a trio, honestly, in this than Abbott and Costello.
And they were a trio in other things. They did some movies together. They did stage performances together. She was part of Hillary Brooke was part of this Abbott and Costello kind of group.
Well, good for Hillary.
Good for Hillary.
Good for Hillary. Give her flowers.
And Joe Besser, you know, bless you. You're a middle-aged man playing a child.
Oof. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a thing. Good for you. Who must other people see this episode? Now, I'm gonna say I wanted to do this because of the haunted house aspect, and I think compared to some of the great haunted house episodes, this let me down a little bit. I you know, so I might suggest starting with another episode.
I would agree. I have not seen the other ones, to my own shame, but I think that there might be a better one than this. As a haunted house episode goes, the ghost was cute.
Yeah, more ghosts, less gorillas. I'm not a fan of gorillas in haunted houses. That's not my jam.
But I like what they did with that. This is really a haunted house. This is not a con. This is not the lawyer trying to get them to run away.
Wait, but so does haunted not mean creature or spectral? What is a house haunted if a living corporeal gorilla is in it?
No, it's just a house with a gorilla.
So it is wild that like the main thing in this is the gorilla. Like I wonder if it's like some night, February 20th, 1933. There's like a journalist sees a gorilla with 2 suitcases going into the house, and they're like, "Oh, that house is haunted now."
House is haunted. So I don't say my house is haunted. My house isn't haunted by cats.
Yeah, so it is weird that. Oh my God, it's a haunted house, but the only main thing is a gorilla and then a lady in a white lace like gown and hood, or like a shawl over her, and then a guy's head and a clock.
I would be happy if the ghost, the spectral lady, became like a love interest for Lou Costello.
Yes, that would be good, like on Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And then also the gorillas reminding me of the 70s Ghostbusters, the Filmation Ghostbusters,
which became a cartoon.
And caused the actual Ghostbusters to go by the real Ghostbusters, which again, shady. Ooh.
Things are weird. I wonder if we can do like an old episode of the Ghostbusters.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, everything's fair game. This is must-see TV.
We can do anything we want. We're on YouTube.
Yeah.
We're on Apple Podcasts.
So the other episodes that I wanted to do were, there was one that was it Costello is trying to adopt his monkey, but he accidentally files for marriage papers and accidentally marries his monkey, which I was like, that's insane. I'll watch that. That's
not legal.
And then there was another one where maybe Hillary or someone is like hiring the two of them to play like English noblemen or whatever, which I wanted to watch just to see men in nice clothes. So
the reason I vetoed that one because it did not have Joe Besser as Stinky.
Oof, Stinky. Was it Bongo, the monkey? I think it's Bongo or something. Bingo, or I was like, I kind of want to watch one.
Bingo, yeah.
Bingo, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, that is it for Abbott and Costello show. What a wild trip.
What a hoot.
1953. This is almost 70 years old.
Check it out on Kickstarter, at least for the next 42 or so days. We're recording this on September 14th. So you have a couple days to kickstart the second one. They are not offering the first one as a reward.
Oh man.
But I believe you can find it. It's just out there. It's on DVD.
Okay, good.
It's on Blu-ray.
Where can people find you if they want to ask you more questions about the Abbott and Costello box set?
Check me out on Ethan K55 or drop us a comment on YouTube because I do check those. Let's keep those numbers up because I love seeing when people look at us. We have over 100 views on the we did. Life of Riley got 100 views, probably more views than it's gotten on Tubi.
All those Riley heads coming. And yeah, I love, I love any type of interaction. Please talk to us in any way possible. Email musthavesceentv@gmail.com. Why not? Ask questions and we'll maybe talk about them. And honestly, ask about anything. I don't know.
Where can we find you on the interweb?
Hi. So you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Brett White. You can follow my drag persona, Barb Hardley, at Barb Hardley on those platforms where I will be getting back into it, squeezing back into a dress again, getting back to the old dragmons or whatever. But yeah, and we want to hear from all of y'all, so you can follow Must Have Seen TV on Instagram. You can ask us questions, comment there. You can also go to YouTube and comment there. You can also write a review in iTunes and give us 5 stars or 4 stars, and honestly that's as low as I allow you to go. We'll read your review on the episode. Yes, I am shamelessly begging for 5-star reviews. I don't care what your actual opinion of us is. You will give us 5 stars, and I don't care.
Now, Brett, you're alienating the audience.
No, if I haven't done that by now, Jesus. That's everything. I'm just muttering now. Thanks to Acast for hosting the podcast. Thanks to everyone for listening and watching. Next time we'll be venturing into the 60s. Halloween is coming up, and there are going to be Halloween episodes. So just hold on to your butts for that. That might be next week. It depends on. But yeah. We'll talk to you later. See you next time on Must See TV.